We are waving the white flag. I surrender, right? We're going to throw in that towel. I surrender. When you're in love and war, there's this moment where we need to just surrender and drop that white flag. Hey everyone, I'm Lisa Drennan. I'm a wealth activator and I help divorced mompreneurs optimize their back end finances without restrictive budgets so that they can find their true wealth. They can multiply their money and change their relationship with their money so that they can teach their children what it truly means to have true wealth, a good relationship with money. Post divorce is a life-changing event. A lot of times we just, there's so many things that we have to go through to get to the point of post-divorce that we lose ourselves in the interim. And when we think about it, like I've titled this Eat, Pray, and Profit, there's a new way to lead with peace and power after divorce so that you can profit, and not just financially but emotionally as well, because what you're doing, how you're interacting with the ex is affecting not only your health and wealth but also your children. They have the biggest eyes. They are observing you. And when you could put down that white flag and you can just say, you know what, I don't need this drama. I don't need to be in this argument. We split. Let his money be his money, let my money be my money, and let's make it equal grounds for the children. When my parents got divorced, they were both entrepreneurs and they split up. My mom lost everything. Back in the 70s, moms didn't get anything. And I remember her complaining that my dad would play games with child support. And back then they wrote checks, and he would his wife, his my stepmother, would make it a point to redirect the child support so that it went to a different zip code. So it would be late. So every month the child support, which was $20 per kid, so 4 kids, that's what my mom got per month from child support, but it would be 3 weeks late. So she could never depend on that to take care of us. So she went out to work and she hustled to put food on the table, to make sure that we had a roof over our heads, to make sure that there was reliable transportation. And then there wasn't anything left over for extras. I started working when I was 11 years old, buy my own school clothes and school supplies because there just wasn't enough. And she would argue and take my dad back to court to get more child support to pay for health care. And he would play games. He would put on this sob story and he would get out of it. She would ultimately feel sorry for him. And I would think, why are you constantly letting him off the hook? This is ridiculous. You guys should be partners. You should be working together to take care of the kids. But no, instead there was this constant battle, this emotional battle. I don't know about my dad, I wasn't close with him, but my mom was so emotionally scarred from getting divorced. That was taboo being raised in a Catholic and Italian family. And every single day she would be so sad about it. I didn't plan my life to be this way. And she would drown her sorrows, right? She would just, be a workaholic. She would pour herself into her kids, and she never took time for herself. And when I think about it, as I remember all the things that she did, she never once waved the white flag. She never just said, you know what, I'm done. Not until, okay, not until I was an adult and I started having kids. And I became a mom at 18, a single mom at 18. And at that point, all of a sudden, her and my dad started talking. And he was happy because I was fully emancipated as soon as I got pregnant. He didn't have to pay child support anymore. And I had this bitterness towards him. But, it's not about waving the white flag in defeat. It's about waving it in surrender to myself, to peace, to profit. Because we're never going to get ahead if we're always looking back. If we're always looking behind in the rear view mirror, waiting for something to come up from the past, or we're fearing something that might happen, we're never going to get ahead. After divorce, it's easy to stay in battle mode. It's easy to get into that drama. It's easy to get ticked off at the ex for, having a new partner, for having a better house, for going on vacations. It's easy to stay in that battle mode, especially when it comes to money. You fought for your assets. Maybe you fought for alimony and child support. You fought for everything. But this conversation that we're having today isn't about winning anymore. It's about choosing peace and finally letting your money work with you, not against you. So when you think about all the things that you had to let go, whether by choice or force, who knows? You're there, it happened. You're looking at the battle. The war has been going on for months, years, maybe even decades. And you're defeated. And you're like, I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired. I just wish things would change. And who knows, maybe you're spewing illness, things you wish, I wish that SOB, right? But what if your thoughts, what if you contemplated something differently that brought you peace, that showed your children, whether they're little ones or big kids, adult children, that showed them how to surrender with peace so that you can find your true wealth. The next level isn't about hustling. It isn't about giving up. It isn't about having it all figured out. It's about taking one step at a time. It's about surrendering the white flag so that you can have peace, so that you can have tranquility, so that you can have safety, so that you can have security. I just want you to stop for a moment. A lot of times we feel very anxious. Our anxiety kicks in. We start feeding into our future. We start the should-haves. We got to stop shoulding ourselves, okay? I heard that yesterday at Bible study. Stop shoulding yourself. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done that. I wish this could have happened, right? But what are you doing? You're consuming yourself mentally, emotionally, and financially. You're just tearing yourself down, right? All these thoughts in your head, they're keeping you at a place of fear and shame. And like everything, it's energy. Money is energy. And when you're thinking about it, it all comes down to the mighty dollar. When you're thinking about it, are you nourishing it with love or starving it with stress? When you think about, our body needs food. We can't go hungry. We can starve ourselves, but we need to eat eventually. And so when you think about it, what are you feeding the monsters inside of your head, the thoughts inside of your head that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you on this roller coaster? So if you're someone that likes to journal, this is a journal prompt that you can use at any time. But I want you, and just say it out loud to yourselves. What in my life am I feeding that is no longer feeding me? And am I ready to surrender the white flag? When we think about nourishment, it's just not about food. It's about the financial plan that leaves you feeling fed, not fearful. It's about creating an inner peace, knowing that your money is doing exactly what you want it to do, whether or not you have alimony or child support. You get to bring in your own income streams and you get to bring in your own power. Yeah, you might have to start from scratch like my mom did. And she taught us kids, you have to work hard, you have to be diligent, you have to find something that you love to do and then do it. And she was an entrepreneur. She was a cosmetologist. She had her own beauty salon, and she loved making women look beautiful. And she would get, she would have people waiting out the door for her to come in and get their hair styled and cut. She was booked solid. And that empowered her to be independent. But there was still this nagging inside of her that felt like, I wish I had a partner. I wish this could have worked out, right? There's all these wishes and should-haves and could-haves and would-haves. But what if your focus is more on, I am in my own power. I get to surrender. I get to throw that white flag down. And it doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're aligning with the truth. The truth is, you wanted out of that relationship. Whether you wanted the divorce, you initiated it or not, you wanted out. And that's it. It happened. You can't change it, but you can take your power and you can start feeding it so that you can rise above your circumstances and take the action to live the life, to live your true wealth that you truly want. So when you think about it, another thing to contemplate in your journal, should you choose to do so, do you trust yourself? Trust for me was I didn't trust myself. When I chose to become a single mom at 18, I chose not to take child support. I didn't want anything to do with my partner. I despised him to a T. And I did not want him to be a part of my life. And so it was hard being a single mom at 18 years old. I was working 2 jobs. I was raising my kid, and it was this constant struggle, right? I was just making ends meet. And I didn't trust myself because I had messed up so bad. I had messed up so bad. This guy put me through hell. I mean, prior to the age of 17, I found myself pregnant 3 times. 2 of them ended in abortion. And the third time I got pregnant with him, I was just like, I'm done. Like, okay? He was a narcissist gaslighter, and we just had this horrible, horrific relationship where, I mean, and he made good money. It wasn't a money thing. He was a plumber. And he was on the path of taking over his father's business. But he didn't provide emotionally. He was never there. He constantly cheated on me and then lied about it and then made it seem like it was my fault. And it's just like, I am so sick and tired of you. I just got to the end of my rope and I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm better get out of my life. I don't want you here anymore. And so I turned to prayer and I thought, okay, how can I start trusting myself? Because I don't ever want to be in that situation again. And I remember when we were engaged, I was going to marry this guy, and I was like a week before, maybe 3 weeks before we were supposed to get married. And my parents were like, you got to get married, da da da. And I sat down and I contemplated, what's going to happen if I marry him? And all I could envision was my mother's life, growing up as a divorced kid, being in this situation where it was only going to get worse once we got married. He was going to cheat even more, and he would be the type of person to bring the woman home while I was gone, right? And I just got really angry, and I thought, you know what? I am not repeating my mother's life. I am not going to struggle the way that she struggled. I'm not going to have to rebuild. No, I'm going to make this break now. And I just made that choice. And it was asking God for wisdom. It was just turning in and just saying, you know what? I surrender. I waved the white flag and I said, I let go and let God. And all the fears, I didn't care. I was going to raise this baby on my own. I was going to make it work. I didn't care if I was going to be flat, broken, poor, and on welfare for my life. I knew I wasn't, because I was too much of a hard worker and a go-getter. Because what did my mom tell me when I was younger? Be a hard worker. Don't rely on a man to care for you, because it can all be taken away. You need to rely on yourself. So what I want you to ask yourself out loud is, where am I trying to control what needs to be surrendered? Where am I trying to control what needs to be surrendered? One of the best methods that I've used to help let go is called an aroma reset. I'm a certified aromatherapy practitioner, and I use Young Living essential oils to help release emotions and anxiety and panic inside of my body, to regulate my nervous system so that I can go on to the next level, so that I could surrender my white flag and peacefully and just say, okay, you know what? I don't need this drama. You do you, because no one can make me feel, no one can make you feel. You're the only one that has control over your feelings. People can put thoughts in your head, but it's up to you. You have that choice whether or not you're going to accept them. So we're just going to do an aroma reset. You don't have to have a scent. If you have essential oil, grab whatever you're drawn to. You can also use a scented, you can use coffee, anything that smells good to you. A tea bag or a candle. And all I just want you to do is think about a time when just think of a thought that's been keeping you up at night, a thought that's making you anxious. Think of a time, maybe most recently in the last 24 hours or so, that just really made you feel like, I should have. And just let those thoughts come in. Just sit back in your chair, close your eyes, let those thoughts come in. And notice how you're feeling in your body. You know, maybe you feel pressure in your chest, or you get that tightness in your stomach. Maybe your jaw is clenched. And just, what does that feeling remind you of? If you could identify that feeling in one word, what would it be? What would be that one word feeling? And just allow it to come. And what I want you to do, if you do have a scent, is just go ahead and breathe it in. I'm using a memory release blend. It's Young Living's essential oil, equal drops of frankincense, lavender, and stress away. And I tell you, it's magical. This is how I was introduced to aromatherapy back in 2020. But just take that scent, and I want you to breathe in. Big breath in through your nose. Hold your breath for the count of 3. And slowly exhale. Continue that breathing pattern. And as you're breathing in, allow those thoughts, allow that feeling to completely be felt, seen, and heard. Notice what happens to the feelings and the thoughts as you breathe deep into it, taking big belly breaths through your nose, holding your breath for the count of 3, and exhaling through your mouth. Take a big deep breath in, hold it, and on your exhale, I just want you to say out loud or to yourself, I'm sorry. Take a big deep breath in, hold your breath, and on the exhale, say, please forgive me. Take a big deep breath in, hold your breath, and say on the exhale, I love you. Take a big breath in, hold your breath, and on the exhale, say thank you. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and notice how you feel. What's different for you? What has shifted? That practice is called a Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Those words are very powerful, and you can do that breath work without the scent anywhere. It's amazing. Like if you're standing in line at the store and the lines are really long and you're in a hurry and people are complaining, say those 4 words. Take that big deep breath in. If you have the oil, grab it, but if you don't, it's okay too. And just say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you can do this throughout the day, throughout the situation. Do it before you have a conversation with the ex so that you can regain your peace and your power. So when we think about eat, pray, and profit, the final piece of this is the profit, turning peace into prosperity. Profit isn't what's left over. It's what's built on purpose. We take profit first. Most women think profit comes after sacrifice. I'll take care of the kids, the house, the business, everyone else, and then I'll save the leftovers for me. No. True profit comes after clarity, after choosing ease, choosing to pay yourself first. When you stop trying to prove you're okay and start believing you're worthy, this is when money flows. And it doesn't matter the dollar amount that comes in. It's the peace and the security and the financial freedom that you feel from the inside out that helps you feel, I've found my true wealth. I've partnered with money. In my Wealth Accelerator, it's a 12-week container where we dive deep into this using the power of the aromatherapy. We set up a money management system for both your business and your personal without restrictive budgets. We get into the root cause of what's driving your money habits, and we change those so that you can create habits that help you multiply your money and activate wealth. We rewrite your money story. We rewrite the story so that you can partner with money and so that you can look at your kids and say, you know what? I'm independent. I found true wealth. You know, your other parent, I don't need to fight with them about money. I don't need to worry about them. They can do what they want to do. I'm going to do this for you. And one of the best things I've ever did, I just gifted my oldest son $50,000. And I made a choice. He's going through a divorce. His divorce is almost final, and he was in a one-bedroom apartment with two kids. And he was looking for a house, and he just didn't, the income debt ratio just wasn't lining up. And I'm like, well, let me help you. What can I do to help you? And I wanted to help him. And he needed $50,000. And it was like, here you go. Here's a gift. Well, I'll pay you back. No, it's a gift. To be able to do that is true wealth. To be able to do that brought me true peace, true financial security, to know that I could help my family. I can help others. I can help charity. I can do what I want because I've made a plan for my money. And in your business, we call that the cash flow glow up, where we create 5 special glow up income streams that help you glow up your income. In your personal plan, we call it the Money Multiplier System, and you can get that free. Just go to my website, iDateMoney.com, click on the Wealth Activation Guide, and you can get that Money Multiplier System for free. And you can also get your own personalized spending plan. For $17, you get an entire map, and it shows you how to pay down debt, how to track your expenses, your income to create money buckets, how to optimize your savings so that you can have future funds, so that you can have money for trips and education without worrying about whether or not there's going to be enough. When we think about our peace, we think about profit, we think about multiplying our money, we think about making more money. So many of us think that we can just make more money and everything is going to be better. But that's not what's going to happen. In love and war, there's always a winner, there's always a happy ending, or somebody wins at the end, right? And that war zone, it's horrible. You go through the trials and the tribulation and the terror and the devastation. You get stripped of everything. But there comes the time when you can say, I surrender. I don't need this. I'm done. I'm going to do things my way. I'm going to take back my power. You get to. It's a choice, and it's that simple. If you think that you're being called to join me in the Wealth Accelerator, doors are opening. I have 12 spots available in my 12-week program for the Wealth Accelerator. We're going to dive in deep to change those money habits, to start multiplying your money, to find your true wealth. If this is for you, just direct message me, activate, and we'll get you started. Or you can go to my website, iDateMoney.com/programs, and register today. Remember, it's your choice. You can keep fighting that battle and stay in the war, or you can surrender your white flag. Because remember, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it's what you do with it.